And there we go, and you momentarily should be able to see my screen where we've got eTakeoff running. All right, now, loading drawings, pretty simple. You load drawings in by telling the program, I'm not going to go through these steps, I'm just going to tell you briefly. I tell the program I want to create a project, you point to your project folder, the program gives you a list of all the drawings that are available in your folder and subfolders, you say I want this one, this one, this one, this one, by putting a check mark next to it, and boom, it loads up the drawings. And this is a sample. We've got, this is a La Quinta Hotel project where I've got all my drawings here. They show in my drawing list here on the side, on the left-hand side, so I can just scroll through here and pick whatever drawing I want to look at and use. We've got the very nice ribbon bar interface up here at the top where you've got multiple tabs, pretty much like, you know, any Windows software that you see today has a ribbon interface. We have two control panels in our product. We have this one control panel here on the left. We have another control panel here on the right. You can populate the control panel with multiple controls. I have over here, we've got the drawing list, which you saw here. We've got a layer list, which I have minimized clear down here at the bottom. I've got my measurement edit control, and so on and so forth. I've got a rotation control here, so I can rotate drawings on the fly, so on and so forth. So you can use these control panels and populate them with whatever you want to that we have on our list here for controls. You can also move these control panels around. By default, they dock on the left and they dock on the right. But I could take this one and undock it by just grabbing it and pulling it off, and then I could place this on another monitor. I've got multiple monitors on this my computer, so I could throw this on another monitor over on the right. I could put it on the left. I could have it float, or again, I could just simply dock it over here on the right. So they're movable, they're undockable. Excuse me. We use as many monitors as you have on your computer. I've got customers that have 1, 2, 3, 4 monitors. I've got a customer that has a 42-inch monitor in the center and two 32-inch monitors on the side. Crazy. But that's all available to you. You can open drawings on multiple monitors. So I could open what's called an extra drawing window, which showed up on my other monitor. So I'll bring that over here. So if I needed some details or a room finish schedule and I wanted to put that on another monitor, I could do that. We've got finish schedule here that I could open up and zoom into, rolling my scroll wheel. I could make this full screen, and then I could put this on another monitor and have it available to me at the same time as I'm looking at my floor plan, potentially to do flooring. All right, so let's get rid of that. Now let's talk quickly about some measuring. Pretty simple stuff from our Home tab. I can just do a basic area, a count, a length, or a perimeter by clicking on the button and then zooming in, rolling my scroll wheel. I've already set the scale to 3/32 of an inch equals a foot. Then I can just click and go around a room. I can have it snap to vertical, horizontal if I want to. If you make a mistake like I just did, backspace key or undo or Control Z. No, hold on. Sorry about that. Got a lot of allergies going on for myself, so I apologize. Boom. Now I've got an area measurement, and I've got this total square feet here. We also keep track of the perimeter for you, so if you need that, like if I'm doing flooring, I might want to have base molding be my perimeter. Length is first point to last point, so you can use that how you want, and then points is the number of times I clicked. You can use all that data how you want. So now I've got a basic area. I could rename this to, carpet or whatever I want to. I could save it over here and use it again later if I want. So pretty simple stuff. Point, click, measure, and you get your results, and you move on. All right, now I'm going to delete that measurement. Let's look at an extension since that was in our slide. So let's measure a wall. Just really quickly, we're going to use an item I have here in our templates, which you get, by the way, when you load eTakeoff, you get this set of templates so that you can use those. I'm going to use this 2x4 wall, okay? And then I'm just going to point and click. It's going to be very simple. Point here, click here, and then my extension data shows up over here. So wall height, 12-foot high wall, whatever. Tab through, 16-inch stud spacing. Sides, if I'm doing drywall, maybe I want to put the same drywall on both sides, so I'll put 2 sides. Some people call them layers. I could put 2, 3, 4 layers of drywall if I wanted to. And then I can use this drop-down to choose the sheet size of drywall that I want to use. So I've got multiple sheet sizes. And then what I get is my results. I get the total length of track, how many studs, what the square foot of drywall is, and then how many sheets it has. And that data is all tracked for me, and I can keep track of it throughout the entire project. If I do multiples, if I want to do that again, I can do that again, and I can, again, fill that information out if I want to. I'm going to throw in, since I hope, Nick, I've got a little bit of extra time today.
Oh, of course, you're good.
I'm going to throw in a couple extra features. I'm good to go? Okay. I'm going to throw in a couple extra features that we have that can really save time. So this is really nice to be able to take a measurement, enter some data, and get a lot of results out of it. However, if I have to do this wall 200 times on this project, I really don't want to enter that data, 200 times. So I'm going to delete this measurement, and then I'm going to take this one that's all filled out and ready to go, and I'm going to put it into a function we call favorites. And favorites is kind of like a favorites, like in your Internet Explorer or your web browser. Favorites, you store a favorite website, and then you can go to it over and over again. You don't have to type it in every time. That's kind of what favorites are. We have two sections. We have a global favorites, and we have a project favorites. I'm going to just simply take this wall and click, hold, and drag and drop it into my project favorites. Now I have that 2x4 wall, but it's already filled out because the information is stored in there. So if I want to recreate this wall again, I just double-click here, and then I can go measure that wall again, right? So, excuse me, and then I can continue to use that, which is already filled out. So any wall that has these same parameters, I could even change the description of this and say it's 12 feet, 16, 2, and 4 by 10. So I could change the description of that so I knew what kind of wall it was. Or maybe this project, this type of wall is wall type 1. So I could come in here and I could just simply call it, delete what's there, call it 2x4 wall, and it's wall type 1, for example. So then I know that I'm measuring with wall type 1. Then if I do another measurement and it's a wall type 2 and it has different parameters, I can copy it into here as well. So that's a great feature. Now, here's even a better way to do this, to think about how this works. I'm going to delete these walls, and then I'm going to go to the second floor. Let's assume that I've already done the flooring and the base and everything I need for the second floor. Okay? Well, the third floor happens to be an identical mirror to the second floor. So what I can do is I can copy all of these measurements, drop them into my project favorites, and then I can go to, hold on, let me do that again. There are some caveats to this. I'm going to take it from this upper left-hand corner and drag it in, which then gives me a starting point to copy it to the third floor. So now that I'm going to go to the third floor, which I've already set the scale for, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, and I'm going to just take this, and I'm going to click, hold, and drag, and I'm going to drop every single one of those measurements. You notice I get an outline so I can position it correctly. And then voila, I've taken off the third floor. Takes a minute to generate all of those. I've taken off the entire third floor flooring all at once. Very nice little features here that you get. Okay, let's talk about what happens with all the results of this stuff, okay? So over here you're going to notice, let's go back to second floor real quick. You're going to notice that over here we call this the measurement summary. Measurement summary summarizes all the measurement types on this current drawing. Okay? So everything that's here is over here. I can click here and it'll open up where that actual measurement is. Or I can go here and click on something and it'll point to and highlight the measurement on the drawing. So this is coordinated with this. So this is a summary of the entire drawing and all the measurements on it. We also have a legend that repeats that, so if you needed to print this or save this as a PDF to send to somebody, they'd have a complete list of all the different materials, carpet types and base types and totals that would represent here on the drawing. Now, if I want to see everything for the entire project, I've got what's called a measurement list, and there's everything in the whole project, and I've got it sorted and totaled, so I know what the total of my rubber base is, my carpet base. I know the total of my carpet 1, and so on and so forth. This data then can be transferred to other programs to finish up and add labor and material cost. Like for clicks, for example. You can move that data over. Now, let's do the final one. We'll do the pattern search so you see how that works. Very nice function if you need to search for things and count them. I'm going to go to an electrical drawing where we're going to count some. This actually has lighting, has electrical outlets, it has all the fire safety stuff on it as well. So the first thing is we're going to search this drawing and look for a specific symbol. One of the features that I really like about eTakeoff's searching capability is I can tell the program where I want to search, meaning I don't have to search this entire drawing because theoretically, I really don't want to search the parking lot stuff out here, and I don't want to search the title block. I want to just search around in the building where my symbol is going to show up. So in my pattern search function, I have the ability to add a search rectangle or polygon, meaning I can add a box around this to tell it where I want to search. I've previously done that, so I want to show you where that search area is. So I did what's called a polygon, and I just went around here really quickly, and I saved that as my main search area. And now I can tell the program I want to search inside that main area. So I've pre-done that, and every time I want to do a search on a different symbol, I've got that area, and I can tell it to search there. Now, I happen to know there's a smoke alarm here, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on the smoke alarm. I'm going to say I want to start or resume a pattern search. I'm going to start one. You want to notice here we get what's called a hint window. This little hint window tells us what to do. Once we've learned how to do it, we can tell it I don't need that anymore, so you don't have to display it. The other thing to notice about the program is whenever I hover my mouse over a button, it gives me a pretty good set of help information about that specific button. Any button here you hover over will give you help on. It's very nice. It'll also tell you if there's any shortcuts available for that specific function. Here we've got rename drawing, shortcut is F2. So if I wanted to rename this drawing, I just hit F2 and I can type in a new name for the drawing. So let's continue with pattern search. I'm going to draw a box around a rectangle, click, hold, and drag. I usually go upper left to lower right, and that's what I want to search for. I get a little window here that allows me to edit this if I want to. I can close it in a little bit more. I can clean it up if I've got some background lines going through it if I want. It's pretty clean, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. I'm going to tell it I want to search that main area that I already outlined. And then I'm going to tell it what I want to assign the trace to, the count item. When we count this, already have fire and safety, so this is a smoke detector. So when it counts this item, it's going to put a blue circle on it and call it a smoke detector. It's going to show up my measurement summary, and it's going to track it across the whole project. Now, I want to tell the program I want to review anything, and I want to search for anything that is 80% match or greater to this original symbol. I can search rotations, if it rotates on the drawing, and if I've already counted something, I can exclude that. So let's go ahead and click search. It's going to search the drawing. It converts it from a vector. This is a vector drawing. Search it, converts it to a bitmap, does a search, and then displays a result window. It found 19 it reviewed, 18 it automatically selected based on I wanted to go ahead and select anything that matches 90% or greater. So white is unselected, green is selected. Now, I could just go ahead and say, okay, count those, but I might want to review those. A couple ways to review. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here, and then let's go ahead and double-click on one, and it'll take me right to it. Oh, okay, there's a smoke detector. There's one. So I can just cruise through here and double-click, and it'll take me to it. Or I can review on the drawing by clicking this button here. The review window will minimize, then I can zoom out. I don't need that anymore. And I can start looking through everything that it's found and drag through my drawing and look through it. I can, let's say this wasn't one, for example. I could double-click and deselect it here. All right, so let's go ahead and resume our pattern search here. Here's another nice feature. Sometimes these symbols, I might find one symbol that's a certain way, and then there's other symbols that are a little bit different. So what I can do is I can take this little box here and I can expand it out, say I want to look around that symbol and see if there's anything else out there. Like, for example, this auxiliary I didn't realize that it was going to put an A next to the S for auxiliary, so now I know that that's an auxiliary contact, and there's my heat. So I've got the one selected that I'm going to assign to smoke detector, and if I say save and continue, it's going to select these, put the symbol on it, and count them, and then it's going to delete them from my window and leave the other ones for me to count at the same time. Now I could do an auxiliary, so I can go out here and select my auxiliary and say save and continue, and then I got my heat detector, which I can then select another symbol for that, and then I can click save, and boom, I'm done. So now I've got my summary here. I've got 1 heat, 17 smokes, and 1 smoke auxiliary, and they're all they're symbols on them, and they're all colored and they're all counted. So that's the pattern search. It works really well across darn near any trade that you need to search for something on a drawing, and give you those kind of results. Now, currently, just to let you know, what we're doing with pattern search is currently you can do 1 pattern on 1 drawing at a time, meaning I can search for that 1 pattern, that smoke alarm that we did right up here. I can search for that 1 pattern or symbol, and I can search for it on this drawing. Now, upcoming enhancements, which are going to be great. I could search for multiple symbols on the same drawing at the same time, or I could search for a single symbol across any multiple drawings on my project that I want. So big enhancements coming with that. The ability to search the same symbol across multiple drawings is pretty huge. We're planning on releasing that. I can't give you an exact date, but it's going to be probably within the next 3 months, because we're finishing it up now. We're going to test it, and then we'll probably release it. So just to let you know where we're going with things, that's what we're doing with pattern search. All right, that's that for eTakeoff. Nick, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, David. So now we're going to switch gears just a little bit, bring you into E4Clicks. For those of you that haven't seen it before, it'll be your first overview, so I'll take things pretty slowly. Just to begin, before we launch the program itself, I know I mentioned this before, but our cost estimating software is developed specifically for integrated project delivery methods such as JOC, SABER, IDIQ, and MATOC. I know many of you on this line as federal contractors might have multiple contracts, both JOC and IDIQs. Our software allows you to manage all of those contracts collaboratively in a single environment. So we couple that with the best representation of R.s.means construction data. For those of you that have used R.s.means for the past 30 years, you might think to yourself, oh, R.s.means data, always the same every year, regardless of what software platform it's in. However, that's not the case, and I'll show you a little bit about how our software data that is R.s.means priced line items is different from some of our competitors. So we leverage cost estimating with some comprehensive document management tools, as well as some project milestone features that allow you to track the lifespan of your construction projects from conception to award to design, all within a single program at that project level. And of course, last but not least, we do embed what you saw David present, which is eTakeoff, within our system that allows you to create more accurate takeoffs and quantify those means, priced or non-priced custom line items in our tool. So for those of you that have spent some time with me in the past, you'll know that we're a small veteran-owned business, but we do serve over 85% of U.S. Air Force bases. We also serve a lot of folks in other districts, Army Corps districts, GSA, VA, higher education as well. So our product is used both by facility owners to produce things called independent government estimates, as well as the contractors supporting those jobs on JOC or MATOC contracts. So without further ado, I'll launch into the program and take you through nice and slowly some of the aspects in our project estimator that are different from some things that you might have seen in the past. So right now, I'm in Project Estimator, and I'm just going to create a simple project. Within the system, we handle multiple projects with multiple different markups on those. If it's a JOC, a markup might be something like a coefficient or an R.s.means city cost index. Or you might just have a general construction project with different markups for general condition, overhead, and profit. We handle multiple contracts in our system. So what I mean is as follows. I'm going to right-click to create a new project, and a performance period screen is going to come up. This screen will allow me to select the contract that I'm working on, whether that's a JOC or just an IDIQ or a general construction project. You can set up those markups before you even create your project. So everybody in the system, multiple cost estimators, can select the contract that they're working on and begin building out estimates. So for this example, I'm going to select a JOC contract that I have as a default in my system. You can, of course, choose to select none if you're just doing a general budgetary estimate. But for this, I'll select a JOC contract. When you select your contract, there's just two fields that are required before you can begin pulling some line items. Those, of course, are highlighted in green. The project number. You can write basically anything that you'd like. I'm going to write something that makes sense to me, PROJ 214, maybe project 5. And I'll include a description as well. So I'm just going to write renovate conference room if that's the work that I'm doing. And I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard or mouse down and select OK. Project created. Multiple estimators can log in, and based on your subscription, one user at a time can begin turning out some estimates. So coming to the estimate side of our program, you can set up your estimates within a project any way that you'd like. What I mean is this. You can organize your projects at the division level if you'd like. So for example, I might create an estimate for 26 electrical. I might right-click and create a separate estimate within this project for 09 finishes. And set up my project at the division level. Of course, the default is to create an estimate within my project from that project description that I had originally created. So I can open that up, and I can begin finding some line items within my means databases. So we support all of RSMeans' construction data. We take that data and we do enhance it. I'll go into what that means in a second. But I'll let you know whether you're working on detailed line item estimates with the R.s.means facilities database or more budgetary related estimates using the assemblies database, which are just system levels for your estimates, or you're working on an O&M contract and you're using the facility maintenance and repair book. Those multiple databases are procured through us. As you can see from this drop-down, there are a couple things other than the RSMeans data. There is an alternate database. And of course, I grabbed the facilities. But the alternate database, what this is the ability to store custom line items that you can reuse over and over on various projects. So for instance, if you're working with a specific vendor over and over again, you might create, let's say, a custom line item because your material costs are a little bit different than what's in the RSMeans guide. So you can handle custom and priced RSMeans items. Additionally, we do import at no cost any other sort of database that you use. So if the government on a contract provides you with IDIQ data, etc., we would import that database so you can use it alongside means or all together. So this is just an example of a painting IDIQ, some data that I had for an existing project. So let's launch it in the facilities book. A couple of ways to get there. Of course, anything in the program is accessed by right-clicking. So I can easily find to open my RSMeans guide and select my facilities. Within the facilities database, because our system is designed by estimators, of course, there's multiple ways to search for line items. What I find most handy is using the guide index. Guide index is neat because you can change it, but also it allows you to search for line items by keywords. So if you picked up a hard copy means book in the past, you can flip to the back of the book and find the index pretty easily. Index allows us to snap to line items, such as my 10 cubic yard dumpster. I'll open up this line item to give you a better look at it. At the individual line item level, what we do is we extend all line item descriptions into full sentences. Now that might not seem like a lot to you right now, but it's really helpful during fallout when you're trying to scramble quickly to deliver line item estimates, and you really are not sure with the R.s.means abbreviations if you've selected the right item. We kind of alleviate that stress by building out those full descriptions, vetting all of the 80,000 line items, making sure that you know what you're looking at. So I can read my full description, and I can simply type in my quantity to quantify that dumpster in my estimate. I can do the same thing with loading and hauling, because I see that directly below my dumpster. And I can say, for instance, I want to fill this dumpster 10 cubic yards. Boom, in my estimate. So that's using the guide index. If you're really familiar with the line item numbers and you want to locate quickly the beginning of Division 9 because you're looking for some demo items, you can type into your locate field 09 and snap to that pretty fast in your guide if you're looking for some demo for some carpet. If you're not familiar with the line item numbers, you can use something called the guide navigator, or navigation tree rather. This will allow you to drill down by division and subdivision to locate that same item, that carpet maintenance. So I'm going to tab down a couple of pages, and I'm just going to begin tagging some line items to paste them all in my estimate at one time. So I'm going to find my permanent adhesive carpet. I'm going to place a check mark next to it. See right now I see some cove base, so I'm going to grab my demo for cove base and cove base corners. Now I'm going to snap back to the guide to look for some new nylon carpet. Of course, there are hotkeys in the program, so you can keep your hand off of the mouse if you're a hotkey user. Helps you estimate a little bit faster once you've used the program for a little bit. So I'll pause at this 26-ounce carpet to tell you a little bit about line item modifiers. So if you're familiar with RSMeans, this screen right here will look a little bit more familiar to you. We have our 26-ounce carpet, then we can see various options for 28-ounce, 32, etc. What you won't see, if you haven't used E4 Clicks before, is this little M icon saying M7 next to this 26-ounce carpet. What that is, or what those are line item modifiers. Basically, these are priced RSMeans line items that either add to or subtract from the value of that parent line item based on labor costs. These items are actually embedded in the hard copy books themselves, so if you were to buy a 214 facilities book, it would include the modifiers, but they're scattered throughout the databases and sometimes show up as hints or a percentage that you can apply to your overall project. At E4 Clicks, we extend our representation of RSMeans data to include those modifiers directly below that parent line item, which really help reduce errors, omissions, and also really just call attention to some modifiers that you're going to end up getting paid for the work that you're doing. So for example, I'm highlighting right now this for less than a full roll of carpet, approximately 1,500 square feet to add. The reason why this line item exists here, this modifier, is because if I'm buying less than a full roll of carpet for, let's say, a 20 by 20 room, the cost is going to be different from a carpet manufacturer if I were buying a full roll. So there's an additional cost for that. So I'm going to make sure I have that modifier tagged. I'm also going to grab my borders and patterns modifier, because if my carpet layer is working with those, he's going to have to cut that carpet differently. So a couple of modifiers that you're going to need to account for to price your estimate a little bit more accurate. So I showed you a couple of search utilities. Let's say you're unfamiliar with RSMeans and you want to just run a general search. Of course, you can do that in the system. Part of the beauty of having those full descriptions is I can just type in a couple of keywords and it'll scour those descriptions for a line item that makes sense to me. So I can just type in final cleaning and it'll search our 260,000 facilities line item database for line items that have final and or cleaning in them. So just like the index, I can snap to that in my guide. So that's just a little bit about the database. Of course, when you become more proficient in the software, there's more things that you can use in the system, such as a favorites list. So if you work with, let's say, 200 line items within this database, pretty often you're doing similar work, add it to favorites. Do a Control F on a line item. And then you can have a stored list of favorite line items to access in the future. So it's handy once you start using the program a little bit more, and just know that there's more depth to the program that I'll show you in about an hour. So I got a few line items tagged. I want to paste them in my estimate. Like I showed you before, you can right-click to access anything in the system. So I'll right-click and say paste my tagged line items into my estimate. I can paste them all individually without any values associated, quantify them over the weekend. I can also just quantify them now easily using this advanced unit of measure assignment. So this will allow me to quantify my cove-face corners. I can even quantify my linear feet, just like I would in Microsoft Excel in my takeoff field here. Last but not least, I have MSF square feet, square yards. I can do 20 by 20. Program smart enough to handle that conversion rate, so I don't have to. So about that quickly, I was able to throw together a pretty detailed estimate for my renovation of my carpet. I know that I forgot to add a couple of line items, so it's pretty easy to get back in that database. Within my estimate here, if I'm highlighting my 26-ounce carpet and I realize that I needed a 32-ounce, I can just hit Control-O on my keyboard. Not only will it bring up my facilities book or wherever that line item is located, but it will snap to it in the guide. So I can easily snap out or swap out that 26-ounce carpet with some 32. Additionally, like I said, you're working with a specific vendor. You realize, for example, this material cost is off from the project that you're working on. You can change any R.s.means line item to custom. Custom will distinguish itself in your final reports. It will be at the end of your report as an alternate line item. So if you're working a UPB contract, it will distinguish it for your facility owner. Of course, you can write in notes about why you chose that custom line item. But just so you know, you can create custom line items and store those for reuse. So now let's go into reports. You can tag multiple estimates within a single project to report on together. I'm going to print my estimate, and I'm going to go to what's called a detailed summary. Let's go to PDF for now. Opening up my report, first page, we have a division summary of the line items included. I'll zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. So you can see most of our work is in, of course, Division 9 finishes, but we have some general requirements, some existing conditions. And we can see my totals. Next page, here are those totaling components I was talking about at the beginning of the presentation. Things like my Boston R.s.means City Cost Index, where I'm located now. We can see the applied result. And of course, you can change these totaling components at the estimate level or at the project level. Next page, this is where it's starting to get cool. We have a division summary report of the line items in our system. I chose to include a whole mess of detail, including the line item descriptions and the takeoff formula that I used. Now I did create a custom line item in this demonstration, so at the end of my report, you can see that I have my custom separated from the divisions, and I wrote test as a note, so you can see that it shows up in that report as well. A couple more fun things. We have a productivity summary based on the crews as selected with these items, equipment summary, even a task list based on the line items that I've selected. There are a lot of reports in the system, too many to cover for now. But just so you know, if you work a lot with government contracts, we do export directly to some government forms. For those of you that have ever had to fill out an Air Force scheduling form 6465, we'll automatically populate that for you. so you don't have to spend time drilling those down by hand. Similarly, the scheduling form for the Army, Forscom 59R. So one last thing that I definitely want to show you guys before we open up the floor for questions is just the beauty of reusing estimates. So I created this carpet estimate, and let's say that I am doing a reno job similar that I just want to change the quantities for. What I might do is use this project that I created, my previous project, as a template for my next one. So I'm going to do Control-C on my keyboard to copy that estimate. I'm going to create a new project. And I'm going to hit Control-V on my keyboard to paste in that tagged estimate. So I can zero out all of my fields, so I'm starting with a template from scratch with those line items that I have in my other project. So I'm opening this up, and you can see all those line items with zeroed out values. You can copy and paste entire estimates like I just did, or you can just copy and paste individual line items, select all, or select just a few, and copy and paste. Now let's get fancy with this particular project. I want to, say, quantify these line items using eTakeoff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to queue up all of my square foot line items in my system. I'm going to tag them all, and I'm going to hit Modify. I'm going to modify their quantities using eTakeoff, so let me power up that program. I'm going to load up a drawing that I have in my system. Let me zoom in so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better, and let me set the scale for this drawing. So this is just an Applebee's bar area, and I'm just setting my scale. So let me say that's about 20 feet or so, and let's do a simple measurement. So I'm just going to draw similar to what David did earlier. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this particular drawing because I really just want to show you how you can swap between eTakeoff and 4 clicks. Also, I'm not a brilliant eTakeoff user, but luckily I'm not getting paid to estimate this Applebee's bar. So let's just grab a simple measurement. I can zoom in to get a little bit more detailed. Add some disconnect points because I don't want to carpet my bar area here. And let's go back and copy my measurement. So I'm going to copy my area, and I'm going to select something called Return to Estimate with Quantity. What this is going to allow me to do is grab the takeoff I just created, and what you're going to notice here, this little clipboard icon, which is just saying I copy and pasted my estimate from another project, it's going to turn into an E icon. What this E is going to allow you to do is whenever you're in the system and you're realizing, hey, I did a pretty poor job, my quantities are off for my demolition of my carpet tile, I'm going to double click on that item, and in the quantity field, if you see that E icon, you can right click, go to eTakeoff, and go to what's called drill down. So even with eTakeoff closed, stowed away, it's going to power up that drawing so you can revert to your takeoff and adjust that to go back to your system. So it's a pretty handy tool to be able to track and better produce takeoffs for an estimate. So right now, I know I've thrown a lot at you, so I'm just going to open the floor for questions. See if you'd like us, either David or myself, to highlight a different aspect of the program, and or if there are just some general questions.